Hey everyone, and welcome to another episode of From No Crypto to No Crypto. I'm your host, the Crypto Coach, Blockchain Wayne. Today our guest is Pawel from FIO. Now Pawel is one of the founders. He's the head of core infrastructure now at FIO. Pawel, thanks for joining us today.
Great to be here, right?
Absolutely. People looking at this may think this might be a little bit of a biased podcast. I'm with FIO, you are FIO, but we're celebrating our fourth anniversary of mainnet going live. And I wanted to really highlight the background and the history of FIO, what you guys experienced in the early days. I didn't join until after the project was already launched, so it's good to get that insight, not just from a FIO perspective, but just any kind of startup perspective as well. But man, before we jump into that, can you tell everybody a little bit about your background and kind of what you've done and what got you into this space?
Sure. So I've first actually heard about Bitcoin back in 2014, but probably like most everybody else, like, nah, it's this, funny internet money. So I kind of moved on, and it wasn't until 2016, I think, I was working for a fintech company, and we were kind of exploring. It was like a cashback app. And we were actually started to explore using the cryptocurrencies as a potential way to reward people for taking and doing certain tasks. So that's kind of where I jumped in, and we had a partnership with Dash, cryptocurrency back then, and we never actually really took it too far, but that was enough to kind of pique my interest. So I kind of started to go down the rabbit hole, and of course, uncovered all of this stuff, and I just got so fascinated by the concept of decentralization in general, and being able to do whatever it's money or projects or anything in a way where there is not a central entity involved. That was just super fascinating for me. So I just really wanted to jump in and kind of go full time into the crypto space, and so I partnered up with David, co-founder, and what we basically were doing at that time is using the fiat cryptocurrency, and kind of like many startup ideas, like there's got to be a better way to do this rather than copy paste those long strings and try to figure out, is that working? Did you just get my a small little send? Let me do a test send and all of that, and we said, well, there's got to be a better way, and that's basically the background behind FIO, which was formed to really try to make the sending and receiving crypto, really focusing on the payment space, and because that is, and actually probably still to this date, the primary use case is basically sending and receiving cryptocurrencies of all sorts. So FIO was basically founded to try to make that process easier.
Yeah, absolutely. You mentioned Dash for a second. I hadn't heard that name in quite a while.
Yeah.
I haven't heard much from them. Obviously, I mean, they had a bit of adoption. I think it was down in Venezuela, so I think they're still alive at some point, right?
Yeah, it's it kind of makes me think. Now, you mentioned obviously FIO is 4 years old, which is true, but the project actually started 2 years earlier in 2018. So we've been kind of at it for 6 years now, and the space was totally different 6 years ago. I mean, this space,
Yeah.
is probably like categories in kind of how things evolved, and kind of what are the technologies available out there. It recently occurred to me that FIO is actually older than the most common layer 2 on Ethereum, which is Polygon, because Polygon actually launched in, I think it was in summer of 2020, and we launched in the spring. So that just gives you some background on how much has been changed since we started.
Yeah, absolutely. And you're right. I mean, most people think about, okay, when a project launches or they first hear about it, but every startup typically has that incubation period where, like you said, 2 years prior, so 6 years total. Yeah, I was going to make a similar comment. That probably seems like decades ago, right?
Yeah, for sure. The space was totally different back then, and it's been evolving at an incredible speed, which is actually, the great thing about this space, and what kind of keeps me excited is just the progress in terms of the technologies from month to month, year to year. It's just enormous. I mean, things that like ZK proofs and layer twos and all sorts of technologies that you couldn't even dream 6 years ago are now basically coming online, being utilized and being worked on. So yeah, it was a long journey, and yeah, we took about a year and a half. I think it was a little under 2 years to kind of build this, but we wanted to do things right. So 2018 was kind of right after the ICO boom, and there was a lot of fly-by-night companies out there that just basically went out there and put together a white paper and said, hey, give us money because we're building this new technology. We didn't want to do anything like that. We did it very kind of professionally. We had a great team. So initially, the company that started to work on this technology was a venture-backed company called Dapix. It was backed by a number of well-known companies, be like Binance Labs and Shapeshift. There was also a bunch of wallets that was initially part of what we call the founding wallets that have basically worked with us in trying to figure out what is the best solution to this problem and how to build it. And then all wallets like Edge or Trust or BRD, which nobody hears about yet because they actually got acquired by Coinbase. And a bunch of other wallets that we worked with and put together a great team to put all this technology together and decide what is going to be the path. And like I mentioned, the L2s were not even a thing back then. So we actually ended up building a layer one blockchain, which is super hard. People underestimate how hard it is to actually bootstrap and build the technology that is required to power a layer one chain, and then make sure that it kind of runs and doesn't have issues and things like that. So we took our time to basically analyze the best technology that was out there at the time, figure out how to build it and partnered with great partners and built a great team to put this together, and then actually go through the effort of decentralizing the company. Like I said, initially, this was a venture-backed company, and that was done because that at the time was the best way to fund a project that was legal and not doing anything that might not be, and in terms of funding. So that was the best strategy. But once the technology was built, the original VC-backed company basically dissolved, and a new decentralized autonomous organization was put together to continue building and enhancing the functionality, while at the same time a bunch of block producers came together. I think it was like we're up to probably like 30 something, 35 right now. I don't know what the latest count is, but basically a bunch of block producers came together to bootstrap and launch the chain. So yeah, it was a great effort, and also you probably remember that when we launched in March 2020, not only did we have COVID, which basically made things super hard, but also there was a bear market when we launched. So it was definitely a hard time, but we got it done, and the project's been running ever since.
Yeah, I can remember that month. Excuse me, March 2020. Right, that was there was a massive drop in the markets right in the middle of that month. So probably right before launch, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, we saw. I was sitting at my computer when that happened, and Bitcoin and the whole market just took a giant tumble, which eventually led to another bull. But when you're in the bull, you don't realize it until you look back 12 months and you're like, okay,
Exactly.
that was the bottom, and that's when we started going up. So I can imagine. And yeah, so marketing had to be tough because you're vying for online attention. Everybody's online, right? You would think that would be easy, but that's hard because there's so much out there online, and you can't get to any major events because nobody was holding them to kind of expose what FIO was doing.
Yeah, that was definitely a challenging time, and but like I said, we had a good team, good backers, good initial wallet, so we kind of focused on working with them and basically enhancing their product. I mean, this is what FIO does, right? We're not building a product that we roll out specifically. I mean, we have the FIO app, but our primary objective is to get the wallets that are integrating the FIO protocol easier to use for their users. So that's kind of the key advantage.
Yeah, and that's what I tell people all the time because the FIO protocol is the most powerful when you can use it anywhere, just like any other protocol that would be in a wallet. We just happen to focus on usability. And you mentioned launching a layer one chain as very complex, very hard. I tell people all the time when they're evaluating projects, like a token project can spin up within no time, right? Very little development. If I wanted to launch, look how many tokens are being launched on Solana every day right now, right?
Yep.
Very little effort, very little work. Whereas to truly launch a layer one chain in general is complex, it's hard, but there's a lot more put in. So I'm not saying every layer one out there is going to make it, but I always put a lot of emphasis on layer ones, and even when I learned about how layer twos can operate as well, those are there's a lot more in terms of infrastructure and backing and substance than a fly by night that just launches a token and says, "Hey, buy our token. We're going to do this in the future, maybe."
Oh, absolutely. I agree with you. It's anytime you're kind of evaluating any project, just look at the track record, look at the history, look at the technology that is being rolled out, and kind of make your own assessments there. And that's kind of what we've been doing. We've been basically, bear market, bull market. We just been heads down building the technology ever since we launched. So obviously, launch is just one step. It's not the end. Once you launch, then you move on to building new features and functionality. And we've been at it now since to 2020 and rolling continuously new feature sets and functionality. We've added staking, wrapping. We built a FIO app eventually, which was not even there. Talk about kind of challenges in terms of marketing. We didn't actually have a product that we can tell the users like, hey, come here and use this product. We were actually promoting the integrations of all of our wallets that were part of the initial launch. They have built the products and integrated the FIO protocol, and we're basically telling users, hey, go and check out those products because FIO protocol is integrated. Now we do have the FIO app in addition to those original integrations plus a bunch of others. What I don't know, we are at 80 or something like that integrations right now. So this continues to develop, and we continue to now not only develop the core chain stack, which, like we've mentioned, is pretty hard. People underestimate how hard it is to build layer one chains, but then we also now focus on the FIO app and kind of continue to enhance that, adding new functionality there as well.
Yeah, definitely can make it easier. And you identify, you and David were talking about in the early days a real problem, and I'll tell you my experience even before I met anybody from the FIO team. 2016, I sent my first Bitcoin transaction, and it was a phone call to my friend with a bunch of curse words and like, what the F is this? You mean I can lose my money if I get one character wrong? And I've got to copy and paste. And he said do a test send, and kind of like you and a lot of people, like, there's got to be a better way, but most of us just accepted that, oh, that's what it is for right now. But that really, it kind of mirrors. And did you guys look back at the adoption of the internet as far as for clues as to how FIO should be built? Because it's very similar in terms of when DNS and domain name resolution, HTTPS rolled out. I feel that accelerated really just adoption of the internet in general, because it was a lot easier to navigate than to have to remember an IP address to go to a website, and similar to wallet addresses.
Absolutely. I mean, and that's why when we rolled out basically the protocol, we didn't roll out a product and say, hey, come use this product because it's easier than all the other products. We actually wanted to make all the products easier, right? And that's why rather than building a new one, we basically went to all the different wallets and exchanges and said, hey, there's this layer that's going to make it easy for you. And now you don't need to download a specific application. It's just kind of behind the scenes, just like you don't have to download a DNS resolver to your computer. It's just basically part of all the products that you're using. So that's kind of the similar concept that we wanted to accomplish, and really just make it easy for everybody. And that's why we built the functionality. And people, still to this date underestimate how difficult it is to send and receive crypto. Those of us who have been in this space for a while and done all sorts of different things, that's probably easy. But for new people, it's just mind blowing in terms of how to send cryptocurrency. Not to mention how insecure. People still underestimate how insecure it is. I mean, one of the most common ways to send an address is still through email or some messenger. People don't recognize that can be swapped, and so you get a string of characters from your good friend, and you're thinking, oh, that's going to be going to them, and it actually isn't, and that continues to happen every day. And that's where we have the FIO request, which actually securely transports the information so that there's no way that anybody can change this underneath.
Yeah. I mean, when you think about the old method of copy and pasting, right? There's 4 actions where there could be errors: the copy, miss a character, right, or copy the wrong thing; the paste, and then it gets sent to that other person, and then the copy paste. Well, actually 5, right? You mentioned it could be one of those what's called man-in-the-middle attacks, where
absolutely
a hacker or somebody has basically altered that sent message to a different criteria, versus typing something. If you type in something and it's not valid, it won't let you send it if you type in the handle, a FIO handle. And in terms of interoperability, because obviously it's in the name, what was the goal with FIO's interoperability? Like, was it focused on a certain specific amount of blockchains, or was it designed with just anything and everything can be linked to it?
Yeah, so going back to what we just talked about in terms of this being a protocol rather than a product, we didn't want to build a product. We could have just invested all this energy into building the next best wallet, right? And say, hey, here's this cool wallet that works, and has all these great features. But our goal was to make it easy across the entire ecosystem, and that's where we wanted to build a protocol where you can send funds from one wallet to the other wallet from totally different companies, and that this process works seamlessly across those 2 wallets. That it's not, there were at that time naming solutions that were specific to the wallet, so you could use a name and you can send to your friend, but your friend has to have the exact same wallet from the exact same company as you, otherwise it doesn't work. So we realized that that's not going to be a scalable solution. That's why the interoperable part comes in, where that was one of the goals of the project, is that any wallet made by anybody should be able to integrate this functionality freely and make the process of sending and receiving easier between the wallets, even if they're not made by the same people. And similarly, kind of have a very similar experience irrespective of which underlying blockchain you're using. And to this date, there's, for example, a concept of a memo field that works on some blockchains but not others, right? So if you want to attach a message to somebody like, hey, I'm sending you this crypto because it's a payment for an invoice, there is a different way to do it on every single blockchain. And some blockchains don't allow a memo field at all, right? So that was another concept. We said we want to level the playing field. No matter which cryptocurrency you're sending or receiving or requesting, you can have the same experience across multiple wallets, across multiple blockchains. So yeah, that was definitely the goal that we set out to accomplish.
Nice. And I think that's important to understand, because obviously a lot of people think of digital assets, cryptocurrency, they think just money, right? But we're starting to see that evolution of digital assets representing so many different things that are going to be transacted. And I think the email, like most people log into most accounts today with an email, and I think that's going to be replaced with digital wallets, where they're going to basically connect the wallet, maybe have even some unique identifier in that wallet that recognizes them for login, could be an NFT or whatever, and then so that wallet having a handle that represents every asset within that wallet is important, versus some kind of fragmented where, okay, this particular Web3 domain or handle works for these chains and this other one works for those chains. It's just a simple concept, because I don't know how you feel about that. I mean, even the products that we've been talking about lately have been evolving more than just talking about wallets and exchanges using our protocol.
Absolutely. I think that's a very good point. I mean, we aim to have this protocol be as universal as possible and as decentralized as possible. And I think that's an important element where people often overlook that, especially in the frenzy of, the bull market. It's like, they don't necessarily look deep enough to understand, is this product fully decentralized or not? And does it matter, right? So for example, most other naming solutions have some sort of a gatekeeper that determines which blockchains you can link to it, right? So if a new blockchain comes in tomorrow, and they are being rolled out all the time, right? You actually have to go to this gatekeeper and say, hey, would you please add, a little blockchain to your mapping capabilities, because we're a new blockchain and we would like to have that. And of course, the gatekeeper can decide yes or no. Whereas in FIO, we don't have that construct. Anybody, we're just actually even publishing to help the industry. We're publishing an index of all the different chains and tokens that people are using to ensure that they're using the same codes, so that everybody's talking about the same chain, which is actually a very important usability issue as well, where people are sometimes sending tokens on the wrong chain. But even there, it's just you can start using whatever you want. You don't have to come and ask anybody for help in adding your chain. So that was an important element for us as well, to be able to have a solution that's fully decentralized and can be used by anybody, and anybody can just grab it and don't have to talk to anybody. We have the foundation that is doing some development, but the foundation has absolutely no control over any parts of this protocol. Or even the development. Anybody can do the development. We're here to continue to enhance the functionality, but the development is available to anybody. So anybody can come in, grab whatever they need, and make it work for their product, integrated in their platform, without ever talking to the foundation or anybody at the projects that have been working with this technology so far.
Absolutely. And besides that, obviously there's benefits for the user and for the platform from the ease of use if they integrate the FIO protocol to make sending and receiving assets easier, give the users each a handle that could represent that brand. But can you talk about some of the financial incentives? So if a protocol were to come in and start utilizing the FIO protocol, can you talk about the financial incentives they have for using that as well?
Sure, absolutely. And that was an important element of the original kind of strategy for how to best construct this protocol. And that's always a challenge in decentralized systems, in trying to figure out, yes, you have the token, which is the utility token of the platform, and it is also intended to benefit or incentivize the different entities that are required to bootstrap the network, right? Just like any kind of network when you're building, you want to have some ability to bootstrap it initially. And so that's where we kind of have all the different entities. We have the obviously at the layer one chain, you have all the validators, the block producers, right, who are securing the chain and ensuring that it continues to run irrespective of any single organization out there. They are being paid by the utility token that is there. And then you obviously have the end users that, even though the FIO handles themselves are actually built in such a way that the barrier to entry is pretty low, so you don't have to pay. You can actually still get a free FIO handle today as part of the construction of the protocol, and those are free for life. So you kind of, once you get it, you own it, and nobody can ever take it away from you, which is, by the way, unlike an email, a company that can go under and or be acquired or just decide they don't want to offer emails anymore, and now you lose that access. Whereas here, it's kind of your for life, and you have full control over that, and it's free. But there are also some additional services that as a user you can buy, which is basically the other side of the incentive system, where you now pay. For example, if you want to have your domain on the FIO handle, which is typically a username at domain, that is paid. You actually have to pay money for that, and then that kind of comes into the system and becomes part of the economic system of the protocol. And then you have integrators. We're actually a very unique protocol. That's one of the, when we launched, we've actually had a number of different innovations that were not found anywhere out there in different blockchains. And some are still not out there. One important one is kind of the integrator incentive, where basically if you integrate the FIO protocol into your application, being a wallet or an exchange or whatever you're building, then you can actually get to be compensated by the chain itself, not by any organization, but by the chain, by basically identifying the users that you're bringing to the system or the transactions that you're generating, and you then actually get a portion of that transaction back in FIO tokens, so that there's an incentive for users to integrate that platform. And then you have obviously people that are holding the tokens, which indirectly are securing the network. So they're incented by, if they stake their tokens and vote for the block producers that are securing the network. So yeah, the FIO token is definitely an integral part of the FIO ecosystem, the FIO protocol. And it's been always designed to be that, and it's not easy. It's not easy. You can see a lot of systems out there that if they didn't get this right, all of a sudden, the network collapses. I'm glad to say that I think on the FIO side, we did a good job in constructing the token economics.
Yeah, absolutely. And those partners, I mean, I was given an example on a call the other day. There's some partners that are earning consistent monthly revenue, substantial revenue that could pay for one or multiple, employees or other aspects if they decide to sell those tokens, or if they hold them. It could be financial upside as the market matures and more people start using digital assets. It just makes sense that FIO is going to be one of the main things to help lead towards adoption in terms of sending and receiving digital assets. There's a lot of other great products and protocols being built that solve other problems, but this is definitely one that I think has a lot of merit. And there's always that financial incentive for the integrator to add FIO protocol to your product, especially if you're going to have a user connect the wallet or send or receive assets. We've even seen a lot of interest in the gaming space too. So.
Absolutely, it's been great to see that partners that have integrated the FIO protocol in a great way, where it kind of becomes a default handle for their platform, that they're basically getting incredible rewards, which is awesome, because that's exactly what what was intended, right? And it's not, and also in constructing this, it's not necessarily that you just integrate the FIO protocol. You kind of have to be using it. The users actually have to be getting their handles and using them, and if they do, that's when you get the rewards, and it seems to be working great.
Yeah, absolutely. And great job. So it took 3 years to after mainnet went live to register 1 million FIO handles. And I know the marketing team just announced less than a year later, 1.5 million handles total have been registered. So we're definitely starting to see some acceleration. Now, kind of off topic of FIO, but where do you think we are in terms of how far away is, I don't want to say mass adoption where everybody's using cryptocurrency daily, but where it's really, we start to see it really accelerate towards a lot of global users just in general sending and receiving digital assets with wallets.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I've been I'm old enough. I remember the internet adoption. I was back in mid '90s building travel e-commerce platforms, and kind of observed the entire cycle of transaction. I remember my first product that I was building and building the ability to accept payments. And it was an airline, and I said, "Hey, we're going to take credit cards over the internet," and they'd be like, "What? Are you crazy?" And then, of course, today that's just so common. I see that exact same. It's funny how many parallels there are with kind of the internet adoption, where it goes from like really this obscure thing for nerds to, it becomes a little bit more popular, and then all of a sudden everybody's using it, and more importantly, everybody's using it without knowing that they're using it, right? So they just get a phone and it has features, and those features, show you information, and you don't even think or know, like, oh, well, there's an HTTP call from this application to some server over the internet to actually get me this content. Nobody cares. It just works, right? And I kind of see that same path developing on the crypto side. Initially, it kind of starts off as this, weird thing. Nobody understands what the hell that is and why is it valuable, to then basically becoming this thing where you kind of have to opt in explicitly saying, oh, I want to do crypto, right? So I should get a wallet and do some crypto transaction, to eventually you are just going to be using it and you won't even know you're using it. And that's exactly, when you actually get to that adoption is when people don't actually have to explicitly opt in to using crypto. They're just using a product because they like the product. It does whatever it is they want this product to do for them, and it just the crypto rails are behind the scenes built into the product, and it's just making the product better, giving you more utility. And that definitely is coming. We're definitely not there yet. There is still a lot of friction in using crypto, and there are some, probably bigger obstacles to that than they were with the internet, not only legal but also kind of technology, and also this decentralized concept and this self-custody concept. Those are kind of some friction points, but all of those are going to get resolved, and then eventually everybody's going to be using crypto the same way they're using the internet without knowing.
Yeah, absolutely. Great insight, Pavo. As we wrap up, your team is responsible, and in the last year have launched, rebranded the website. Looks really great, and rebranded the dashboard to the FIO app. Can you tell everybody where they can visit both the website and use the FIO app?
Yeah, sure. So we're at a very short URL right now, FIO.net. That's your one-stop shop for everything FIO, and that we have the FIO app in there, which is basically a way for users to access the FIO functionality very easily. And we continue to work on making it even easier with every release. Like I said, we're just heads down, continuing to build new technology, new functionality, and primary goal is still the same, making crypto easier for everybody, right? So a good example of that is we just recently launched the ability to connect to the FIO app using MetaMask. MetaMask is the #1 wallet, 30 million users out there, and now it basically gives you access to everything FIO. So you can get your handle, you can do the mappings, you can access the app with just a single click on the MetaMask wallet, and you still continue to self-custody all of those identity elements. So yeah, we just continue doing that. There's more on the horizon, more on the roadmap, kind of in that same theme. Obviously, MetaMask is a huge step forward for us in terms of getting users easy access to the app. And there's actually a lot of focus on that, and so there'll be new announcements and more functionality coming in the future.
Yeah, absolutely. So definitely make sure to check out the website, and also follow the socials to find out more. Pablo, every time we turn around, your team's got new release coming, new updates, new product, or you're always looking to figure out what how FIO can be used, and how the app can be easier, how the website can flow better. So it's exciting to see what's next. Any final words before we wrap up?
Oh, I think that's it. Thanks so much for doing this, Wayne.
Yeah, thanks a lot, Pablo, for joining us today. I know you're not usually one that likes to be on the camera talking, being in a podcast, but I appreciate you taking the time. It's really great to highlight not just what FIO and other projects are doing, but to see what happens behind the scenes and hear some of the history to realize that there's a wide range of products out there in this whole crypto ecosystem. Some of them are really going to be poised to change things. So I want people to understand what goes into that. And also understand the differences between a layer one and just a token that launches on another chain, and how those can differ greatly in terms of risk, in terms of what's going to come out. So it's good to hear from the tech side sometimes, instead of just the marketer, the promoters, the business development team. It's good to hear from people like you that are actually building.
And I appreciate you, Wayne, for doing what you're doing with kind of getting people out there educated on what this new technology is, and how to use it and how to stay safe. So thanks
Absolutely.
for doing that.
Thank you. Yeah, you guys saw it was hard, so you decided to build a protocol. When I saw how hard it was, I was like, man, I've got to teach people. So we saw the same problem and attacking in different ways, but I think both of them are really coming together. So that's it for today's episode. Thanks, Pawel, for joining us. Thanks everybody for listening, and we will catch you on the next episode. Take care, everybody.